Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests. It's an absolute honor for me to be holding stage and on IvyCap Day and hosting a session with such an esteemed panel on the subject, navigating the future business potential with AI, ML, and data science. AI, as we know, has everyone's attention. In fact, everyone's watching it with bated breath to see how is it going to impact the future of mankind. There is a joke on AI startups, which goes a little bit like this, which says, why is it that AI startups smell so good? And the reason for that is because they have an algorithm to identify the best coffee shops, send drones to fetch the best brew for their team. So the point I'm trying to make is whether it's healthcare, whether it's financial services, manufacturing, entertainment, any sector is poised for growth, keeping these technologies in mind. It's shaping the future, and we are sitting here to have a discussion, especially in the context of India, to understand what does it take to become a game changer in this. Today's discussion is essentially going to be an intellectual voyage of sorts, largely on account of the fact that we have some, because of my panelists, two of them who've been members of NASSCOM, founding members of NASSCOM. They have pioneered as well as witnessed the growth of IT industry in India. Ashank Desai as well as Harish Mehta. They have actually been felicitated by the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi for their contribution. We also have Harish Balasubramanian, who is an angel investor. His interest largely has been in commerce, shopping, game tech, but he has been showing a lot of interest in AI startups and practical application of that in different domains. So without much ado now, let's just deep dive into the discussions and understand how these technologies intersect to shape the future of business, and especially in context of India. So my first question is actually to Mr. Hari Balasubramanian. You are an encyclopedia of sorts for startups, and you have been investing a lot in AI startups. My question to you is, what kind of startups are coming up? Are they solving some real problems? Can you just throw some light in terms of what do you see happening around in the Indian space as we speak?
See, there is a lot of interest, especially from founders, to do AI startups today. So, in my estimate, we have about 350 AI startups now operating in India, which are just about less than a year old. There are some more AI startups which are maybe 5 years plus old. But according to another estimate, everybody is today introducing AI in their business, including SaaS companies. So there is an estimate that there are 4,000 companies which are working in India in the AI space. Some of them are, using AI, but pure AI startups, I would say about 350 to 400 companies are there today, where founders are trying to find out how they would position a global solution or an Indian solution which cannot be replicated by any other part of the world. So if you see, the areas are marketing. There are many companies which are building robos around SaaS. For SaaS companies, they are building, conversational AI or a conversational AI tool. There are companies in health tech, companies in HR tech, companies in, fintech. So you name it, in every field. For example, there are companies which are writing text to music, text to speech, text to video. So all these type of, companies are happening. Very few companies in the infrastructure space. When I say infrastructure, you require a huge infrastructure for AI. So we have companies who are doing software infrastructure, but we really don't have any hardware infrastructure type of companies. So overall, I would say that there's plenty of action. We don't know how many of them are going to actually succeed, because we see a lot of them are building wrappers around, one of the AI models, which may not have commercial, validation very quickly. It may take a lot of time. But founders are working very hard to discover models which can be monetized. So that's a very good sign for AI startups in India.
So I will just, I think Naveen Tiwari in his keynote address alluded to the fact that you need to have AI as a solution for automation to build efficiencies. So most of these startups, they're essentially products which are to solve a real problem, or is it something to do with, an existing organization which is looking at investing in AI to bring around operational or cost efficiencies? What kind of, if I were to just compare the two, what kind of a difference would you find?
See, there are both sides. I would say that, the way internet sort of changed the world, in my opinion, AI is today changing a world, which means we have come to an inflection point where AI is going to be omnipresent in many, many applications, which means without AI, you will lose a competitive advantage. So I would say existing companies are trying to see how they can power or improve their workings by using AI. And founders, who are looking at innovative ideas are trying to find out what could be the solutions which could be India-centric. For example, we're just now starting work on an Indian language model because India is such a diverse country. We require a language model for our own country, for our own things. So all these things are happening. So, I would say that on all sides, AI is going to definitely play a very significant role, and it's going to change the way we look at, how software is going to be applied or how things are going to work in the future.
So my next question is to Ashank and Harish. You've been, essentially pioneered, and you've also witnessed the growth of IT industry in India. More than 2 decades, right? Now you see this entire AI revolution coming in. Do you find some synergies in the momentum that it has picked up? What is your thought on that? If you were to draw some parallel or look at the short, medium to long-term horizon, how is this going to shape up? So just give me your thoughts. So Ashank.
Okay. Thanks. You make us a bit younger by saying that we have seen it for 20 years. Actually, both of us have seen it for 40 years. So I'm disclosing my age maybe, but but on serious note, see, if you look at IT industry in India, we have taken up opportunities at a global level over the last 40 years, one after another, before even world could take leadership in it. I'm talking of Unix in 90s. I'm talking of client server. I'm talking of now recently digital and cloud and so on and so forth. So what happens really is one side is the export side of the business, which is always ahead because our customers are top 500,000 companies. They have their best applications given to us. Somebody talked about what we did, my company Mastek did in UK. Now, these were the opportunities presented. So because we get these opportunities, we will do and apply AI for improving companies, which is about improving efficiency and new product, as you said. That's one part. The second part is all this India stack that is happening, which is a revolution. And that is opening up opportunities like anything for our entrepreneurs to contribute to country. And there is AI ML fertile soil, actually, literally a soil. Yeah. You can do so many things through AI ML there to make India much ahead of others, which we are already, but we can take another giant stride. And third part is this product category. That means building AI products and so on. Some of it will also happen now, because what is happening is these two things, India stack and our export opportunities, is giving our talent new ideas. And there are very interesting things happening as I speak in LLM area. There are models which are developed, and we, with multiple languages and all, is a fertile soil to make some of these things happen. So some of that also will happen. So I'm very, very hopeful. Given our past track record, given our present potential that we have, and the talent that we have. More about it, talent, I'll talk later, but I'm very, very hopeful.
So if I were to just take you back, say 40 years that you said, do you think that the acceleration would be much faster going forward, given that we have the complete digital infrastructure to support?
Yeah, speed of change has been fast. As you know, ChatGPT got some 100 million. As any numbers will tell you that speed of change is getting very fast. So that change will happen, and as Hari said, like internet, AI will make omnipresent, and it will happen faster than internet.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Harish bhai, my next question is a little bit, it's got a reference to one of the comments that you made as part of the audience, where you said that you need a different kind of a mindset, right? So if I asked you the same question, and if I were to allude to that point that you made, do you think that you can draw some parallels, or do you think there are no parallels at all? And this is a completely different ball game as compared to the IT industry that you all were pioneering.
Just a clarification on
Sure.
what I said before,
Yeah.
that if you ask airline company,
Yes.
can you make an aircraft? The answer is absolute no. In our case, what has happened is we are calling it software services, we are calling it software product. So I see the problem with the English language too.
Okay.
If the word software was not common, probably nobody would expect software services companies to do software products, for example. But anyway, coming back, so if you look at the birth of IT industry, it happened substantially, I would say, because of the automation that the Western world started making. I'm going back to 80s and the early 90s. So when they wanted to automate, they needed resources. And India, with the labor arbitrage advantage, was ready to encash. So at that point, but we had more than 150 regulations choking the growth of software services industry. That was the time when policies were decided by the scientists and the educationists. They wanted industry to focus on software product game. And many of us had failed in the software product game in those days. We realized India is just not ready, and we wanted to do software services business. We were branded as techno coolies, cyber coolies, because we were doing low-end work, washing the diapers of Fortune 500 companies, all kinds of, you can say, attack on us, saying that don't do this, do the product game. But the product market, outsourcing market at that time was $300 billion. We were hardly at $40 million. But we could see, provided if we get these hundreds of regulations removed, then we have the opportunity to grab a bigger share. And that's where NASSCOM was formed. And the first job of the NASSCOM was to remove these regulations. It took 5 years to eliminate all that. And then the industry took off. There were still some other issues, like Ashank would know. In the late 80s, when we go and meet a prospect in USA, first he would look at as a thief. If I part with my data and programs to you, you will go and sell it to my competitor. That was the brand of India. So we had to work with the government at that time to strengthen the Copyright Act of India, which was strengthened to a point which was stronger than the UK, for example, just to build brand India. Similarly, quality. I mean, at NASSCOM, we insisted that every company who has more than 100 software engineers must have SCI level 3, 4, or 5 certification. And at one point, India had the highest number of quality certified companies in the world. That built India as a brand in terms of delivering quality projects and whatnot. So what I'm trying to say is that there are so many things happen. For example, even in order to create manpower, NASSCOM drafted the policies of 20 states. So when the waves of technologies came, let's say Java, open source, internet, one by one wave, industry, or let's say the educational institutes were ready with a certain basic rope manpower, and that allowed industry to grow. So from the AI perspective now, as long as NASSCOM is there, I'm sure that AI will continue to grow. As Ashank just said, when IT services grew over a time, when the BPO segment, or the BPM, business process management, it could have been literally killed as a call center business, considered it's a low end and it does not require intellectual people and whatnot. But NASSCOM saw the opportunity, nurtured that segment, and it became BPM, which is a $30 billion business today. Similarly, R&D engineering services. It was again nurtured. And today in India, we have 1,800 R&D centers employing 1.2 million engineers with $35 billion of earning foreign exchange. So one by one, such waves have come. And the best practices that we have learned from one to another would be passed on to the AI. As a matter of fact, it will accelerate because those best practices and plus lots of other things are in our favor today. So I'm quite bullish from that perspective for the AI growth. On the one side, let's say we had a Western world automating for IT. But today, if you see the use cases, they are global in nature. Even India is a big market for us now. So it's a global market that is in front of the industry. So I see as far as, if you look at the AI stake, let's say the bottom layer is the hardware, then you have cloud, and then you have LLMs, and then you have application. As far as applications are concerned, right now, all signs are India will remain a global leader.
Okay. So if you were to, maybe another 5 to 10 years, do you see a certain trend based on your past experience? You can foresee a trend? Any kind of a growth trend or something that you can foresee?
All I can say, we'll be very proud of whatever we are going to see. It's going to be extraordinarily growth. I mean, today, see the kind of AI momentum in India, where we were a year ago. We didn't know much about generative AI.
Yes.
And just now, as Harish said, there's so many startups. And you'll see, again, 10 times more startups in a year from now. So there's a fantastic momentum building up now.
So I think you made a very interesting point about, the fact that there were so many regulations which were choking the industry when we were taking off on IT industry. And my next question is a little bit on that. And I'm going to ask Hari, which is, what is the copyright and the patent landscape for AI in this country?
See, I'm not a lawyer. Nishit Bhai is here. They have done a lot of work in this space. It is a nightmare to actually frame policies or law around copyright and, also regulation. Today I was talking to, Miko. They are not using GPT primarily because they think that if kids use GPT through the robo, it's going to give them too much of information which is not right for them. So they are building their own LLMs and they have launched it, which means that it's got some rails by which, a lot of information will not go out and it's regulated. So this self-regulation is what is now happening. But if you see what's happening around the world, the entire regulatory provision, everybody wants regulation. Probably, I think only the IBM CEO, yesterday's Senate hearing, he only said that there should be no regulation, or he had some strong views about it. But everybody, all the people, 7, 8 companies who today dominate the AI world, all of them said that some form of regulation is required. Otherwise, it will go, absolutely, it will be misused. For example, we have now elections coming in India and in the US. Just a small video can be created which can totally change the voters' mindset, and that video could be generated by AI, which is not real. So all these type of problems we are going to face, and it's going to be a nightmare to put this, regulation in mind until unless civil society, participates. It just cannot be with companies. Companies have got a commercial interest. It cannot be just with people who are fighting for, human rights and other things. It has to be a it has to be a general debate in terms of what are the type of regulations which can be introduced. And copyright is one very important thing. For example, now any advertisement which comes out, they're all generated by AI engines. So any political statement which is coming out, that also can come out from an AI engine. So now Google is making it mandatory that if something is generated through AI, you have to put a disclaimer that this is generated by AI. So we really don't know how everything is going to change. I think in India, we have got a very good opportunity to actually put the guardrails for some type of regulation, especially in the social media and other places. But I think, we're still not ready. Though I think government is talking about it, I don't know how much NASSCOM and the other, agencies are working on this, but it's going to be very challenging, and India can actually take a lead in terms of forming these guidelines for both copyright as well as regulations.
So, Harish Bhai, if you can tell us a little bit about the AI ecosystem and the regulations that the government is essentially putting. There's a lot of research that's happening in this. And from a NASSCOM point of view, what are the kind of guardrails or what are the kind of principles that you all are following with respect to putting things together?
Okay, first of all, let me qualify. I'll be speaking on my behalf, not
sure,
on NASSCOM's behalf.
Absolutely. That's
that's
fine.
A different platform where people speak. See, we all know that AI has a potential to eliminate humanity.
Yeah.
We also know that AI has a potential to eliminate poverty. Luckily for us, in India, the policymakers, the government, the industry, and all other stakeholders, including the citizens, there is so much awareness is being created. And so what regulations to bring in? And there's a whole new process which has started now called proactive consultative policy making. If you see the DPDP bill that came out, It took 3 years before it finally became an act. But government had consulted 100 organizations and taken their viewpoint, came to the parliament, went back, again came back. So that's a fantastic process. And even the way it is structured also is such. The minimum part is now coded in the act, and the remaining is kept as administrative rules. So as the time changes, as he said, we do not know how it's going to unfold. So we must keep that flexibility with us in the law. So that is the structure they have followed in the DPDP Act, and I believe same will happen on the AI front. But government is extremely sensitive and they seize the opportunity. Just to give you some numbers, we have 80 million internet users. Our government's target would be to have 100 million Indian citizens be AI trained so they can use government services. Create 20 million white-collar workers, reskill them, so they can use AI tools to improve their productivity in the job they do. And create few million high-end, world-class AI developers, which the industry can use for solving global problems as well as India's problems. So there's a massive, good things are happening in terms of various policies to encourage or India become AI savvy, let's say.
So, Ashank, I recently saw your LinkedIn post on your journey of building the Ashank Desai Center for Public Policy. Is there something that the center is doing that's in IIT Bombay and also in Ahmedabad, right? So is there something that, if you can throw some light on any kind of a policy change that you all are working on, or some in-depth understanding of what's happening on this?
Yeah, so actually there is just early days, to be very honest, as far as AI goes. In this center that you are talking in IIT Bombay, we have a group formed already now. Some of them are really bright people coming from computer science and want to do policy, which is what we want. In the sense, the policies of tomorrow are going to be driven by technologists and policy wise people coming together, and that's the reason I thought I should incubate this center in IIT Bombay. So it's early days. But actually, you see, the policy spectrum, to move ahead with what Harish was saying, is such a wide issue. Everybody has to put some time and effort into it. All IITs in a way, and others who are doing policy research. See, there are 10 big areas of government policy which needs to be addressed. 10. First is research policy, what we are going to do. Number 2 is about talent and talent-related policies. Number 3 is about, the whole issue of ethics and privacy. Then there is the whole issue about role of industrializing AI. That needs a government policy for it. Then role of AI in government. So I already told you 6. Then there is this whole issue of our approach to the international AI policies and what is our stand. The world is becoming global unless we have a clarity on it. So I think there is so many things to do, and we are trying to find, coming back to your question, in IIT Bombay, where we should work. Okay. And maybe we'll contribute in that area, sure.
So the next question is a little tongue-in-cheek, which is in light of Mr. Sam Altman's assertion that, and I quote, that India cannot compete with their Silicon Valley counterparts on artificial intelligence advancements. So my first question is, what is your take on this? I would love to have your point of view. And then I have a follow-up
very
question.
Strong views.
Okay, so please, let's start.
See, I would just like to say that, there are many AI entrepreneurs in India who are running very successful companies. So when I asked them this question, they said, we are willing to put in $10 million each. There are 4 or 5 of us who can put in $10 million each. We can create something like an open AI, which was done 10 years or 12 years ago as a non-profit organization. We require something very, very specific to India, because there is a national, security also which is involved, because if your AI is open, your defense systems can be compromised. So there are so many things which are involved. So Indian entrepreneurs today who are very successful are willing to put money on the table, provided they get some type of visibility from the government in terms of how they should do this for the India stack. because India also requires an AI stack. So whatever Sam Altman says, it is probably true for US and rest of the world, but India is a unique country. We have got our own set of parameters where the language model has to be taught. And it's very unique, and we've got a diverse environment. So there is a lot of effort and, I would say CPU burn, GPU burn, which is required to actually create an Indian LLM, which is the opportunity which I see, because nobody would be able to do that type of an LLM except India.
Okay, so I completely disagree with this, what has been made, because the first foundation of this whole revolution is having a talent. It is a talent which has created all this leading edge industry of IT, as I told you earlier, for last 40 years. Because we had a talent, we could move faster than ahead. Now, let me give you a data in AI by an American agency. Let's not talk of opinion. I have a data. There is a research published by American agency which publishes data on all AI all over the world, year after year over last 10 years. Their recent report of 2022 has compared the availability of talent and capability of talent across the world. And what they have done is very interesting. They have not given numbers. What they are saying is, if you take number of white-collar employees, I think it is white-collar only because you can't take all of it, white-collar employee occupations, what percentage of people are having AI capability, country by country? And if average is 1, where are other countries? You got what I'm saying? So it's a relative number. If average in the world is 1 for AI availability, it may be 2%, 3%, 5%, whatever that may be. If average is 1, what is India? You know what is India? 3. Wow. So India is having 3 times more talent in AI, in white-collar occupation as I speak today. Not only that, they looked at women and men. And even in women, we are 2.2 or something like that. So in all genders, we have a much higher talent than any country. So I have a hope that we will do much better in AI. We are behind in research today in terms of papers published, behind China and India, China and US. But we are growing faster over the last 4 years. So I'm hopeful that our talent is our winning card, and we will do well in AI.
I'm sorry, I have a different view than both of you. I'm a techno-optimist as such. I have seen India changing from a snake charmer's country to becoming a global tech powerhouse. And I have seen how IT services has grown from 52 million to now $250 billion. But I have also seen the failure in the software product game over the last 40 years. I also seen failure in the hardware game. I also seen failure in the semiconductor game. So when you look at the macro issues of the country, we still have a very weak judiciary, very weak enforcement. So tell me, which investor from here is going to invest in a company where he is not sure whether his IP is protected or not protected? It will be what Ashank says is right, talent is there, but that talent will be used by investors from outside India, who will take risk on our talent. OpenAI also has so many Indians working for them. Same Indians cannot come and deliver here. So I see serious challenges in terms of cultural transformation that India needs. We have, Professor Rao talked about some of the issues of R&D orientation not there in the country. We don't have a science orientation in the country. We have a very, you can say that, that linkage between patient capital and investing in a company which will give return after 10 years just doesn't exist. So I'm very hopeful. I would like to see what Hari is saying, that some entrepreneurs may create something, but as a India to become a Silicon Valley as a process where research and innovation will drive forward for products like LLM or OpenAI, I think are still a decade away.
But there is an opportunity today. It's about entrepreneurs and the ecosystem to take advantage of that.
Opportunity is there, but the question is, who is the ultimate winner? Wealth creation will happen within India or outside India?
So as a follow-up to that question, maybe I'll just ask this thing, which is, if I have to nurture talent in order to combat this statement, right? What is the kind of skilling, reskilling do you think would be required in order to combat this?
Yeah, so as I speak, we have already started BTech courses in AI. I think IIT Gandhinagar has one, if I'm right, and also Madras probably, I don't know. But point I'm making is, as we speak today, there are so much happening in academia where they are offering the courses, which is full 5-year or a dual degree in AI. So some of it is talent which will come up over next few years. But the kind of computer science talent that we have in the country today is itself a good pipeline for it. They may not cover AI as a whole of it in their courses, but they will hopefully change their curriculum and bring out. See, today we have close to, if I'm right, at least 100,000 computer science graduate coming out. I don't know exact number, which is 3 times what US is coming out today. They have 30,000. So the point I'm making is, we have a pipeline. My only issue is whether we'll be fast enough to change our curriculum to make things happen. Industry is moving so fast that industry is today ahead of academia in AI worldwide. I'm not talking of India, worldwide. Most of the research and outcomes have come out of industry today, LLMs and all that you hear. So I think we need to have academia gearing up also and working with the industry. We need to make the industry and industry and academia work together so that we are in sync together as to what we need and what they offer. We have a talent. We have a best talent in academia in the world, as I say. But I think we need to be in more sync, particularly in engineering colleges at various levels.
See, I think in our educational system will respond very slowly. But today you have digital content, digital education available, world-class content available to all Indian students, tier 2, tier 3 students. Students from those places are all taking courses from Stanford and many of these places which are online. And many of them are free. So there is no dearth of content today to train yourself. And then the startups are providing a great opportunity to actually work on real-life problems. So I would say that, the Indian education system may change slowly. But today, the world is an open place, and you have tremendous amount of content, solid content, latest content available for young people to consume and become experts.
So if I compare India with China and USA, we are still 10 to 15 years behind each of that country. And the government has taken great initiatives, industry is doing great and all that. But these are all incremental. We need to have a big bang approach, in my view, to leapfrog. And that big bang project can come out of defense, can come out of government, can any other way by which you create massive, like sending man on the moon or Chandrayaan type of project. Such mission projects need to be commissioned in the country to raise the level of AI to the world-class level.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for the lovely discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can we have a group photograph and the token of appreciation?